the official name or not.
Right. They are. It's the official name. I mean, it's the. I think they're also known as like the game staff group or something to that nature. But like, yeah, first,
Or the tournament junkies.
yeah, like they're in all intents and purposes they are the guys handling the behind the scenes games at Sac Animes for a good number of years.
Yeah, and for those that are listening in, when I mentioned Teabagger, it's actually an acronym for a greater name, which stands for the Big Anime Gaming Room. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm not calling them a bunch of teabaggers.
Right, right.
That aside, though, the tournaments were handled really well over there.
Mm-hmm.
I got to hang out with Jonas and the other guys, and honestly, it turned out great, but there was a little bit of an issue with getting prizes out there.
Yeah, I mean, like, well, they
It was just due to the fact that it was sort of last minute, though. So, I mean,
yeah,
it's no fault of them, no fault of us. Just, you know, things could have been a little better. But
right.
aside from that, though, everyone had a lot of fun.
Mm,
Got to give away a lot of great stuff.
mm-hmm.
A bunch of people got some posters, and a few people even walked away with a few games.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. It was some very good times. Yeah, for sure. The game room was a great place, and we're not just saying that because we're biased. We're just saying that because we actually legitimately had a good time there. Uh,
And we all love our Vinci games, so
yes, indeed, indeed. Um, aside from that, I'm trying to think of what else is like possible I can think of. Um, aside from,
yeah, surprisingly, like normally we have our podcasts is anywhere up to a couple hours just to discuss a convention, but quite frankly, there wasn't like too much to terribly say about it
right,
since
the funny thing is that there was enough events to go check out at Tech Anime, but not enough to keep going. Like it's not where like at Fanime, but it's like, oh hey, we have so many things going on at any given time. Like you would never be bored. And Berserk Anime was like, well, we have these events going on only for a certain amount of time. So it's like,
yeah, and the thing is that unlike bigger events such as Fanime or Anime Expo, it still had all of its entertainment, fully encapsulated, but at the same time, it's just didn't seem like there was enough.
right,
I mean, there was enough there to keep everything adequately occupied through most of the day, and unfortunately, events like the panels, they only ran for a short portion of the day. And in fact, if I grab my program here, um, like autograph signing, which should get its own little segment. Uh, I mean, that was broken up. It was handled all right. Panels were typically broken up into hour to hour and a half segments. Some even ranging up to 2 hours. But aside from that, there was only one set for main events, one set for some featured events, which were just little sort of side things. And then the panels themselves, it was either stuff that you've already seen or stuff that doesn't really get a whole lot of publicity.
right. I will ask one more question because I think we covered pretty much everything we could possibly cover. Um, you were in the autograph line, or like you were the autograph sessions throughout the entire convention, and that was pretty awesome. That
Yes, I
there
was.
were like 6 or 7 autograph sessions going on. I managed to see the lines for the autograph. Holy crap, those lines were ridiculous.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna go ahead and throw this one out there. Uh, During the in the walkway that they had for autographs and everything, it would have been really helpful if they had some water stations that were situated around.
Right.
Because when I was waiting in line, I actually I almost passed out due to dehydration.
That was one thing I was noticing too. There weren't really much water stations around the convention center. Uh,
No, there were a few that were set up in the Sheraton,
hmm
and there was, I think, one of them set up in the vendors hall in somewhere that's just like not pronounced.
Right.
So from a safety concern, I did find that to be a bit helpful.
Right. Right. For sure. Well, Chris, thank you for joining me for this for your segment on this podcast. Before we take a break, and then Matthew comes on later on. Can you tell people where they can find you on the internet?
For the time being, you guys can just find me through the Mission Start Podcast page and, of course, our Facebook page as well. So, just check out facebook.com/Mission Start Podcast, and you can find my writing there. I've almost finished my report for Sac Anime, so, look forward to seeing that sometime soon. And aside from that, you can, of course, find my writing on missionstartpodcast.com.
Awesome. With that, we're going to take a small break, and when we come back, I'll be with Matthew, a person from California Conventions blog, to talk about Sac Anime and his thoughts on it. So we'll be right back. Hello, everybody. This is Anthony Bionis from Mission Start Podcast, and if you enjoy listening to us, not only on the website but also on iTunes, be sure to check us out on Stitcher as well. Stitcher is an iPhone, Android app, also on other smartphones. You can download for free, and also registration is for free too. It's an app that you can listen to any podcast that is on there without ever downloading a file. When you register with Stitcher, be sure to put in promo code Mission Start or Conover or both, and you get to automatically be entered into a $100 prize every month from Stitcher. So be sure to check us out, support us, and we'll support you guys. Hello, everybody. This is Anthony Bionis. We're back from our break, as I'm burping out my dinner right now. Excuse me. Anyways, with me right now is not Chris, but Matthew from the California Conventions blog.
Hey, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, indeed. Funny thing that talking about you about Sac Anime is there's the few times I did run into you. You actually went as a VIP attendee in the press this time around, and I guess took the pressure off of covering certain events or whatnot. So my first question would be like, how did that feel?
How did it feel? It's still actually although technically I wasn't press, I was still having to make sure that my other two people that went, if anything had happened to them or they're running into problems, then I would go and approach the press associates or the press staff Sac Anime and say, hey, what's going on? I got my people complaining about something.
Right.
What's the matter? So even though I'm not wearing the press badge, I still have the responsibilities as the founder and editor-chief. If something's going wrong, then I need to go address it, either with my associates or with the press staff if something's going on with them.
For sure. But for most part, you were kind of taking it as more of a kind of like a vacation than anything else.
I would say so, and it's also the fact that the two that went, everything actually fell more in place, more than it was just a vacation. It kind of felt like one, but at the same time, personally, I didn't really have much interest in Troy Baker. As much as Troy Baker or Nolan North or Charles Moore. I did hook up with Marnay a little bit, but primarily North, Tatum, and Baker. I had that great footage of Troy Baker with Ali Hillis about a year ago at the SAC Winter with the Final Fantasy 13 panel. But this time around, it's like, okay, it's Nolan North. My two people that went, they were really into like The Last of Us. They were really into Deadpool. They were really into Uncharted. So it's like, here, you take what you know and you go do your thing with Nolan North and Troy Baker and Tatum.
Right. It was definitely. Those panels were really fun. Actually, it was my first time. It was my first time actually going to a panel with Troy Baker and Nolan North. Like those two guys seem to really play off each other pretty well.
It was. I've seen Baker before, and back when Baker used to be at the Woodlake. When he and Ali Hillis, they were going at it with each other. That was like maybe like the best hour of footage I ever have
Yeah, definitely,
of guests.
definitely. Yeah, it was definitely cool when I went to those panels. And the funny thing is that the cool thing is, and it was funny because we were talking about because you didn't go as press, but it's attendee VIP. But when I attended as press for Sac Anime, not to be biased or anything, but they had a set up where the press would be sitting up right in the front,
Hmm.
only for press. So I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is great. I don't have to worry about anything.
Well, but I think what the problem was is I I think it was because I was going off from Anime Expo where they did it like this. Industry VI, industry press and premieres got it first before everybody else.
Hmm.
The only thing that they didn't do that was during autograph sessions.
Right.
But at SAC Anime, both VIP and the regular attendees were kind of squashed in between. The only people that got in early was press or industry.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because the way they did it was all the VIPs went in first, and then everybody else went in afterwards.
Mm.
So that was a big advantage to even being a premier attendee at an Anime Expo. Now, SAC Anime, maybe not as much because I think the one complaint that even I had and what my two associates had that went, and even their friends that went, was the lack of a quality programming.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, I could definitely. Because the thing is, though, is that when I was talking to people at Tech Anime and I was kind of, walking around, I got the gist of that. This anime convention was fun, but something about it was missing, and
Oh,
that it was just like it felt like there was stuff to do, but not enough to keep you
mm,
busy.
and and there's only so much that your guests can carry. There's only so many panels that they'll do, or so many events that they'll do. The thing about Anime Expo was that there was a lot of industry to fill those gaps. So you had
Hmm.
Funimation, you had Bandai, you had Aniplex, you had Good Smile Company, you had Viz doing all these panels that people were interested in. I'm not saying that Sagami should do the same, but there's only so much that fan panels and guest panels can only carry so much, especially with a lot of the panels that these fans are doing were specific only to a fandom or specific to a subject.
Right. Yeah.
And when there's not that many subjects or fandoms to go around at SAC Anime, it's like, okay, what's a panel for Homestuck or Hotelier or Super Hooplock? That's about it, really. There's no sword art. There was a sword art panel, but there's no sword art. Yeah, a panel. There was panels about cosplay, but it was basic stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, like the there wasn't enough per se to do much. I mean, I'm not quite sure. Is it because like maybe there wasn't enough people who signed up as per panels for to provide for Attack Anime, or maybe it was kind of the other way around.
I think it's just the nature of the convention itself. I mean,
Hmm.
you look at Sac Anime is growing really exponentially, but you still don't see an industry presence that are kind of within like these top 10 conventions that Sac Anime is hoping to be.
Right, right. Um, so when you're walking around the con, did what particular rooms did you go to, or what was the one that said to you? It was like, oh wow, this is cool.
The one room that really put me was the Greek festival.
Ah, yeah, that was cool.
I mean, and the fact is that the only problem that I was hearing was that the Greek festival kind of want to clear out their own space so that they weren't really getting shuffled in with the SAG anime crowd.
Mm,
That's why I remember on Saturday, everyone was being pushed out towards the box office area to enter towards Exhibit Hall A,
right, yeah.
and they wouldn't allow us walk through. I think it was more of an issue of, I mean, we're screwing things up. I think it was there's so much foot traffic that's going past it they were still allowing us to go in, and I think that was kind of the stigma with that. They're still allowing us to go in. It's just we have to clear the space for their own thing. I think they were getting overwhelmed.
I see what you're saying. I mean, it's understandable. I mean, like, it's like if you have something that's not related to Sac Anime, and if they're trying to get in, but the traffic is so bad, which it can be,
Yeah.
it's like go at your own caution.
To be fair, though, the Home and Garden Show, they did this during Sac Winter, but the Home and Garden Show didn't have any problems. So I
True.
think really with the growth of Sac Anime, now the food now, yeah, I really do give props for Sac Anime for hooking us up with the Greek food festival.
Oh yeah,
Greek
for sure.
festival.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see, I had I had a gyro. I had I forgot what it was called, but it was their fried cheese.
Ooh, nice.
Fried cheese. I think I had couple of like desserts. I think I had a couple of drinks, something that was like more towards the Greek. And then during the time, I was kind of like looking at Greek culture. I was looking at they were doing like one time, I think it was Saturday, they were doing like a wine tasting
Oh, that's really
seminar.
awesome.
And so I was just listening in. They're talking about the wines of Greece, and for somebody who's sitting here wearing Jupe Yori, like, it's kind of a cool thing that these two can coexist without any problems. God bless that nothing ever happened between the two.
hmm Yeah, for sure. Like it was really cool to have like two cultures kind of colliding, but like coexisting. And it's like, oh hey, this thing is here, so we can check it out. We can actually learn about Greek culture, and then they can vice versa. They can come and check out our anime convention and learn about Japanese culture. So yeah, it was a really cool feeling.
But then, of course, I think the one room that I visited the most was, of course, the game room. I mean,
Oh
Sac
yeah, for
Anime
sure.
is known for their game room, and they're people that run it. I
hmm
mean, they had 6 rooms, and literally all 6 rooms filled up. That's how crazy these game rooms are getting.
there were 6 rooms. I thought there were like around maybe like 4
Well,
or
well,
5.
well, you had 3 of the arcade, and then you had the 2 main rooms, and then you had the third room, and then you had the music room.
Oh, okay. I didn't know there was another like 2 other rooms for the arcade. Okay,
Yeah,
wow, that's cool.
it was on the other side. It was on the other side.
Okay, gotcha.
There was an arcade. They had all like the pump it up machines. They had a DDR machine. They had a Guitar Freaks, Drum Mania. I
Awesome.
think there's another one. They were running Vanilla Blast Blue.
Awesome.
But the game room, I looked at that photo from 4 o'clock when it was packed, and this is like the biggest room that game room has ever gotten. It's still not enough.
Yeah. You know what was funny is that you would go to every game room actually. It was funny. I went to some of the game rooms like during the peak hours, and it was pretty packed in every game room. In like the for mainly the consoles and for the dance room. I'm not quite sure about the arcade as well, but yeah, it was crazy. Like people, I mean, hey, we're a bunch of nerds. They play a bunch of games. It's kind of a given, but it's crazy how it got packed, even with the given space that they were given. It was like, wow, that's pretty awesome. But yeah, it was interesting to say the least. Um, for me, and I said this in the previous segment, was that the one of the room that said to me was the Dito's Hall, for the fact that it got bigger than last time, and I felt like it was already pretty big as it is, but then like they just 10% more bigger for this one. It's like, oh wow, this is awesome. Like there's a lot more room. There's more room for vendors. There's more room for artists. I could walk around even more so if I didn't go on traffic or anything like that. So yeah, it was pretty cool. It was like, oh, this is actually pretty nice feeling. Um, yeah, it was
Now I'm hearing a rumor, and don't count me on it,
okay.
but we may be looking at a Fanime type game room for future conventions.
I could see that. Yeah.
Because I don't know what's going on with that, but I'm kind of seeing here in the grapevine that that those guys are lobbying to Sac Anime in the convention center to give an entire hall to gaming.
Does the convention center have something like that?
Yeah,
Right?
it's the exhibit hall.
Oh, whoa. But then where would
It,
they? Oh, but then where would they But they need their deals hauled in.
I'm gonna guess they might just buy more space.
How much space is in that convention center?
See, 'cause there's A and B. Okay, there's A and B, which was used by Sac Anime.
Uh-huh.
C and D was used by the C, D, and E were used by the Greek festival, or was used by Sac Anime the first time they were there.
I see. So there's possibility of possibly buying out that space too as well, if it's affordable.
That or they may move over to the ballrooms.
Okay.
I could probably see that too, maybe.
Okay.
But they need that space, and it's like every time they get a new space, it's like we're too full, we're too full. You have a beer, we're still full.
Right. Right. You would think that maybe if it gets to the point, because right now it's fine, but like if it's getting to the point where like in Sac Anime will grow, like obviously it's shown that over the past 9 years, that has grown every year. Um, that eventually, because the majority of this convention this summer was the convention center was used more than the Sheraton, like
Yeah.
last convention.
Yeah, I have an interesting story about the Sheraton. I was talking to a couple of employees out there. Said, yeah, it's really a lot quieter than it was during winter. So, yeah, that's because a lot of the stuff that was here at the Sheraton's now at the convention center.
Yeah.
And the only thing that they need to start doing probably is start. And I think what they're gonna try to do, they're gonna try to start moving everything that they can out of the Sheraton. A lot of the smaller stuff, yeah, you can leave at the Sheraton. It's a lot cheaper to run an anime room at the Sheraton than at the convention center. But registration eventually has moved to the Sheraton.
Okay.
I think that's the second most logical move right now is to have them move registration out to the convention center proper. They have to.
Yeah.
That Saturday at Reg line was ridiculous.
I saw that too. I was like, wow, that's
And
crazy.
you know the funny thing is, you know what they did?
Huh?
What Fanime never did?
What?
Open registers. To get everybody through. They were getting everybody in. So
That's
yeah. So
yeah. I mean, like I saw the line. It was long. It wasn't like anime long. But it was long enough to where you'd be waiting for a little while. But yeah, I mean, like it makes total sense. Like this past year I went to SoccerCon in Seattle, and they had two buildings. That was one was the main convention, and then one was specifically dedicated for registration. And it was pretty convenient. I go in one building and go just directly across the other, not to worry about coming back unless there's like some issues. But yeah, like I welcome that idea for Sac Anime. Just dedicate a Sheraton as a registration place rather than trying to cramp it to the convention center. Just because like you're making more space for the convention center, people to walk around and do stuff rather than on people walking around and top out like huge lines for registration. At least in my opinion, I think if they do combine it, then I don't have no problems with that either. So, but still, we'll make things convenient, if anything else. So any particular events you went to or anything that you went and attended, like did you get any autographs or anything of that nature?
Well, like I said, I didn't have much interest in Baker or um, Baker, North, or Tatum, but I did hook up a lot with Martinet. I actually went to his first panel he did on Friday,
Mm.
and I think that was the first panel he did. So it was kind of like the early bird panel. If you were there, you got to see it, and it was really cool. I love hearing the story of how he did, how Martinet became Mario, and the trade convention in Vegas, and all that jazz.
Mm-hmm.
And then I actually went to his autograph session on Saturday because I wanted something, at least if I left the convention center, I would have something for Martinet. I really didn't care about anybody else but Martinet.
Right. And people who are listening who don't know who Martinet is, he is I guess you can call him the Godfather or the voice of Mario for the
The
past.
voice of Mario.
Yeah, the voice of Mario in
And
every game.
it was kind of funny because I think as we go older, I mean, me, I look at Johnny Bosch. How many times have I seen Bosch come into this con?
Yeah.
know what? I'm gonna pull up the wiki, and I'm gonna pull up the wiki for Sac Anime.
For sure. I mean, the funny thing is, it's like you can say the exact same thing for Big My Not. You know, the voice actor of Elric from Fullmetal Alchemist. I cannot pronounce his last name for my life. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah.
Bosch came back in. Okay, I'm looking at the wiki.
Mhm.
Back at the Radisson, Bosch went in January 2011. The winter show, winter
Right.
2011, summer 2011, summer 2012, and summer 2013.
Mm.
And then um, I'm looking at some of these other names that I've seen so many times. Laura Bailey,
Right.
Vic. Vic is coming. Like, let's see, let's look. One, two, three. Um, hold on. One, two, three,
I
four,
know he's coming again next.
five. I think this is gonna be like his sixth visit to SAG Anime.
Yeah.
Well, this is an interesting name,
Hmm.
and I didn't remember her even going in January 2011.
Which one?
In January, in these, no, I didn't. Oh, that's why I didn't go to the January of the ALA. But Yaya Han went to the January
Yeah.
went to the January the Winter SatCon.
Yeah. I remember she was there actually. I was it. Um, a colleague of mine, what's his name, Kazu from the Runaround Network guys. Actually, I saw him a picture with her. I was like, oh, that's cool. Uh,
Yeah, I was just like, wow, Yaya Han went to a con
mhm.
before she became a stuck-up, you know what I'm going.
Yeah, she was there. If I'm not mistaken, she was at Sac Anime a few times, like in 2011, but also like in earlier cons. Um, but yeah, yeah, it was crazy that she was there. Looking back now, it's like, wow, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of these names that went that I know I've seen before.
Mm-hmm.
Freeman went a couple of times.
Yeah.
Travis Willingham went a couple of times. Liam Regal. Um,
At some point, like it's gonna be to a point where everybody has seen everybody at least once. Like, I think that we're running out of voice actors to bring to Sega Anime that we haven't seen yet.
well, the thing is, we have it. They just had um, Pappenbrook, Pappenbrook and Pappenbrook and Kermit Lehigh.
Mm.
And then remember brought up Palencia didn't show up, so she's gonna be at the winter Sac Anime
Mm, I see.
with Vic. I remember it was Vic, and then let me look up the names again.
Mm. Um, yeah, there's definitely some that were already announced for Sac Anime Winter, um, that they have planned for, along with Vic and the others.
Uh, okay, I'm looking at the guests. They don't have the guests updated. However, I'm looking at the website. Is yes, double rooms at the Sheraton are sold out.
Crazy to think about that. Just on that level, it's like Second Anime Winter was just announced for January, and people already booked the hotels around it. It's like, huh?
Well, this was posted back on the 21st.
Oh,
So
okay.
you have Steve Downs, Jen Taylor, Steve Blum, Ashley Burke, Vic, and then Palencia is going to come in. I mean, Steve Downs. You, you- if there's only one person you should know who Steve Downs is, it's Master Chief.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And
Oh
then Gene, yeah,
yeah,
he is voice of Master Chief.
yes. The voice of Master Chief, and also what was it? What's her name's coming? Voice of Cortana. So but it's kind of sad to hear because like, damn, I'm not gonna be there for that. um,
Yeah, and then also Jen Taylor, who also did voices in Mario. I mean, Halo. She did Cortana. Now it's funny how you had Charles Martinet going at SAG Anime, and all of a sudden you have Jen Taylor who does Princess Peach.
yeah, I know, right?
I'm like, why? could you have brought Jen Taylor to Summer? That would have fit
that would fit perfectly. I think it's because like I don't know. I think that I mean, it's either you can't have one without the other. I mean, like I don't know. I'm not quite sure how that works, but like I can't picture Master Chief like without Cortana or any point of two of those two. But yeah, it's really cool. I mean, damn, I wish I can go, but like no, I'm not. Sorry for people listening to this. So I will be at Anime LA next year. So.
See, the thing is that I have a bunch. I mean, I want to go,
Uh-huh.
but anime, Otakon Vegas.
Isn't it next? Isn't it?
That's the same weekend as Sac Anime winter.
Wait, really? I
Yeah.
thought they moved it. I thought they had it set for the middle of June.
No. Otakon Vegas is in January.
Oh shit!
No,
Wow,
what
that's
you
crazy.
what you're talking about is the move to Washington D.C. in 2017. But Otakon Vegas is already establishing themselves January 3rd through the 5th at the Planet Hollywood Resort in Las Vegas.
I see. I didn't know that was happening. Oh shit! That's
So, and I think Anime Los Angeles is the week after.
oh, is it the week after? Oh shit.
Yeah, let me check.
Hmm.
Uh,
That'd be quite the gauntlet if I were to choose to take up that challenge.
yeah,
Go to
Anime
Vegas in
Anime
LA. Yeah.
Los is Friday through Sunday, the 10th to the 12th. So ALA was smart up to bump theirs up a week from Otakon Vegas.
Wow, it's crazy.
But Sac Anime is not going to do anything about that. Now, the only thing that Sac Anime has on Otakon Vegas is the guests.
Yeah.
So far, we haven't heard anything that's going to arrive. Although, Jason David Frank, I mean, my associates and I have a little bit of unfinished business from when we realized that we could have got an interview with Jason David Frank, but we dropped the ball so hard on him that we totally forgot, and then by the time it was too late.
Right.
So hopefully, when I get pressed out there for Otakon Vegas, is that we get something with Jason David Frank.
For sure. I think that what Sac Anime proves year in year out is to always bring in like these guests that you never expect that would come to Sac Anime.
Now the thing is also that it's Otakon. You know how Otacorp works.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's interesting to see that they're branching out, which I totally welcome. I like the fact that people who cannot go to Otakon in the East Coast sometimes will have the West Coast version of it. It's like, oh, that's really cool. It's like that's awesome. But yeah, for sure. Like yeah, it should be interesting to see how their first Otakon Vegas would turn out.
And the thing is it's gonna be right on the strip.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The thing is that Anime Vegas and Animegacon have all been off strip.
Yeah.
This is the first convention to tackle on the strip. Now, whether or not that's a blessing in disguise, or that's gonna be the Achilles heel, we'll see.
For sure.
Now, wait, how did we get to this conversation?
We were talking about Sac Anime and the guests.
The guests and how many people. Oh yeah. So
sorry about that, folks.
I mean, I did. Okay, I wasn't really interested in getting autographs from Baker. I mean, I already have Conchi from Persona 4, and I didn't have anything for North or for Tatum, but I did get something from Martinet though.
Yeah.
And the thing is that for anyone like us, we grew up in the 90s with his voice stuck in our head.
Yep.
My little sister and little brother is in the legacy of him being stuck in his head.
Yeah.
Having that voice. So I got a couple of I bought a couple of posters and I had them autograph it for me and my family. So one's gonna go in my room, one's gonna go in my little brother and sister's room next door. And it's really awesome the way Martinet did it. So I had a really good time. I mean, the only thing is that I kind of like that too, how they isolated the autograph section.
Right.
It's there's its own little section so that you're not having to worry about the lines because it's in its own little dedicated section.
For sure. I definitely enjoyed the fact that they had multiple sessions for autographs. Not like 2 or 3, but like actually like I think 4, 6, I think it
Yeah.
was.
However, it's very interesting, and I kind of find it funny that Good Day Sacramento they were there Saturday and they had a thing on Martinet.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, sorry, or it was the and then they replayed part of that segment during the 5 o'clock broadcast for CBS 13. I have a clip of it.
Right.
It was kind of funny how I knew that Martinet was only going to be there until Saturday. He had to leave. He wasn't going to be there Sunday.
Oh, I see.
So everyone that was at the autograph session was there except for Martinet.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
So it was funny. It was kind of like, oh, he Sac Anime is running till Sunday if you want to see this guy, and it's like he's not there. He's not gonna be there Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah, that happened.
Yeah.
um, yeah, like it was funny how when I saw that clip, I was like, oh hey, you guys kind of messed up there, but all right, sure, free advertising for Sac Anime. Yeah, I saw those lines for the autograph sessions. Those were pretty long lines. I mean, I didn't take any part of it, but it was just like watching it from afar. It's like, huh, I'm kind of glad I'm not in that line, but at the same time, that's got to be. I mean, you would have to be a very, very dedicated fan of one of the voice actors to get something signed, to stand in that line for so long. But it was cool though. It was pretty cool. Um, so were you able to attend the closing ceremonies by any chance?
No, a lot of us, uh, myself and my people that were with me that I was taking back, we were sick. We were not feeling good. I mean, my legs were heavy. I mean, I couldn't move until I figured out the cure for that is unlimited pasta at Olive Garden.
I see. Okay.
I think I chowed like on 3 plates and all of a sudden like, hey, I feel a lot better.
Right, right.
Let's go back. Oh wait, I tore off my Sac Anime wristband thingy. Let's just go home.
Right. Um,
Didn't though. And I know, are you gonna talk about the numbers?
a little bit. I was just like gonna say, I was able to attend at least half of the ceremony, just because I had to leave for home. But like, I did stay long enough for the numbers for the attendance for this Sac Anime. Also the fact that the guy who's given the kind of like the speech and everything, like it felt like a very Apple-esque presentation. Like I felt like at any given moment he's just gonna bust out with like a new product. It's just like, and today we would like to announce the Sac Anime thingamajigger. Um, but like yeah, like the numbers for Sac Anime for summer were 9,500.
And unfortunately, um that's a little bit less than what I was expecting.
Right. Well, I forgot. I remember talking to you about it too. Like you were kind of expecting a high number, but
I was expecting at least 10K.
okay, it's close.
That magical 10K.
It's close.
I mean, at least hit the 10K mark, maybe 12.5 if the con, because there was so much hype. I think now that everybody knows, I think this con is just gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger. If you look at what happened back at the winter show,
Mm-hmm.
basically what the winter show was um, which was Sac Anime programming at the Radisson at the convention center. So it was just the same programming that they worked with. There wasn't um, additional programming. Now what they've done is they've gone ahead and changed the programming to fit the convention center.
Right.
So basically, if anything happened, this is the first convention. This is the first convention that's running with new programming that's gonna fit it. So now that we hit the 99,000 mark, people are gonna see that okay, this con is getting better. The voices of Master Chief and some of the voices of Halo are coming in. Vic's always a seller.
Mm-hmm.
Palencia, people who want to see Palencia are now she's gonna come back in. Steve Blum's always a fan favorite.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The only thing they haven't announced yet is, oh, it's actually coming back for
For like what the 12th, 15th time.
18th million time.
Yeah. The thing is because like it's funny because next year would be the 10th year of Sac Anime ever being alive, and I have a feeling it's going to be the 10th year reaching 10,000K. um, which
I
I
mean, well, let's go back to the wiki for Sac Anime.
oh yeah. Um,
I mean, if you really want to, if you really, I mean, and that would be the summer show
yeah, that's true. That's true.
because according to Wikipedia, the first ever Sac Anime was the last week in July 2004 at the Sunrise Mall, Citrus Heights, California.
Ah, gotcha.
The first ever Sac Anime I went to was at when they were running it at the Sunrise Mall that weekend
Mm,
in 2005, the summer after.
right.
I don't obviously remember going to the one at the Scottish Rite in January
I,
'05,
I was there for those
but
days, but
but
yeah.
but January '06 from on, I've been to every single one except for the one in January 2010, September 2010, and January 2011. I was at ALA at those times, ironically.
Gotcha. Interesting. Which I will be into. Um, so funny enough, we were talking a lot about this and not much about tech anime, but going back to tech anime summer, was there a particular cosplay that stood out to you when you're walking around, just kind of?
Cosplay. Hmm. No, I think the one that's always gonna attach it's that side cosplayer.
Oh yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
side cosplayer.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I heard was that I'm still waiting for photos and videos. He crashed a Vocaloid gather, but he wanted to do Gangnam Style.
Ha ha.
Yeah, they were Gangnam Style or jumping one of the two. But I'm hearing that he crashed it. He crashed the Vocaloid gathering.
Yeah, he was a pretty cool dude. I talked to him for a few minutes. Yeah, he. I mean, like physically, he nailed it. Um, yeah, it was definitely a cool dude to take a picture and talk to. Yeah, yeah, that's cool. I want to see that. But yeah, I mean, I don't have a particular cosplay favorite. I had this past Hack anime. There was a few good ones, but nothing that.
The something Prince Sama group.
Oh yeah, their costumes were great. They were really top
Yeah,
notch. Mm-hmm.
and I was joking with them. I was like, yeah, they made my heart go doki doki any time of the day.
Yeah, true. Um, but yeah, I mean, I can't really think of anything else that really stood out to me
I mean, if
in this.
anything, it's more of what I kind of went back to, which was bringing out new cosplays.
Yeah, yeah, like
And I wore technically two that I haven't worn at a convention. That's Sac Anime yet, which was Jonah from Drumongon,
mm-hmm.
which I ditched halfway through because wearing a sweater 95-degree weather is not working.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
And then
that's tough.
and then for like that all of that Friday afternoon and then all of that Saturday, I wore um, Junpei Iori from Persona 4 Arena Climax.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I definitely I definitely agree with your decision.
Now the only people that knew who I was were all the Persona fans.
Of course.
And even then, someone had to figure out who the hell I was. I remember seeing this one Junpei, and I said, "Hey, I'm you from 2 years later." It's like, "Oh snap, you're Marina, yeah." It's like, "Ah, Marina."
That's cool.
But I think one of my, and then I wrote it afterwards. One of my suggestions that my friend had was, bring your magician card, because without the back piping, without the back lettering or the piping, no one's gonna know who you are until you bring out the magician card. You'll have persona.
Yeah.
That's the only time. I don't even have an evoker on me, so it's not even gonna work.
Right.
Maybe I should pick an evoker. People would sort of know who I am.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
I did that to the masquerade. When I walked up in that skit, when I walked up in the walk-ons, it was kind of like the beginning of what it could be. Because by the time we get to Fanime, and we get to that Persona gathering at Fanime, oh, it's gonna be a completely looking different Arena Junpei than what it was at Sac Summer.
Awesome. For sure.
I'm already looking at improvement plans, all that. So it was
Definitely.
kind of like a wear it and see how it goes. Oh, okay, feels good. All right,
Right.
let's go work on it some more.
Right. Um. Other than that, though, I think, and then like we said before, there isn't much to talk about Sac Anime this past summer, the summer one, because like there was not enough things to do. I mean, the one last thing I will say is I did go check out the karaoke room, and that was cool. Like the karaoke room was popping. It was pretty fun, and it was held in the Sheraton. And like we said before, like the Sheraton wasn't used as much. There wasn't really much of a need to be there. It was just kind of there as an afterthought. But it was cool. The karaoke room was pretty awesome. But yeah, I mean, I can't think of anything else as far as like what Tech Anime had to offer, unless there is something you want to point out. But yeah, yeah, that thing covers it. I mean, yeah, it's just there isn't much to talk about. What else?
Yeah, I guess what we could talk about is where does Sac Anime fit in the grand scheme of California conventions?
You know, it's funny talking. I was talking about last segment is that I feel that Sec Anime is a mid major. I feel like they are big, but they're not as big as Fanime, but they're not as small as like Satcon or
The way I classify in three ways.
hmm,
Either you're a national con, a regional con, or a local con. Sac Anime has leveled themselves up to be a regional con, where you need the people not only from your own city, but you have enough power to attract people at least from another state.
right.
That's how I consider to be regional. National, you can get you get everyone to fly out to Otakon, get everyone to fly out to Anime Expo, Anime Week in Atlanta, ACID, ACon, SoccerCon. Those are the ones that people will fly out to. Those are national.
Mm-hmm.
Then your local cons like your Kinyobis or your SatCons or your even think like AOD is a local con.
Yeah, it last year or might have been this past year when I first went to go check it out. It was small and it did feel like a local con. I still had fun though, regardless of.
Yeah, but my system, well, I think of it. Now the only thing is, California has too many cons,
Yeah, I
and
agree.
there's too many cons. Okay, because if you think about after Sac Anime, there's really nothing else except for PMX. Now would be a good time for like a Japan Expo to swing out from their from that death slot and going to like a November slot or no like a early November.
Right. The thing is though, this also is a problem with BronyCons that there's just too many. Like there, at least in California, like there are at least one convention at least every
Every month,
month. Yeah, and some of them are
bigger than
small.
others.
Yeah, some are bigger than others, or some are small time, and some are kind of medium sized.
And some people are like, I'm kind of envious that California has the ability to have like literally a con every month. And there's no con. There's the NorCal picnic gathering.
Oh yeah, I'm
There's
the funny thing is, like, I hear from East Coast people are like, oh, I wish we had this many conventions over here, and I was like, no, you won't.
don't you're broke, okay? If literally just going to Fanime AX, and if you just go to if you stay within California, your ass is going to be broke.
Uh
I
huh.
mean, AX and Fanime, oh my god, that those take up so much money.
Yes. Not to mention Comic Cons right there in between.
On Sac Anime is a good amount of investment.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Mhm. It is definitely like California is the place for uh
but
conventions.
some of these newcomers that are coming in, I think JX, what they need to do is they need to move out of that August slot.
Yeah. Yeah.
They kind of need to go to like early October, early November,
Mhm.
because there's nothing on besides PMX, and no, and PMX is kind of like is really like a local con. It's not going to really attract that many people, but JX will, and you're doing it at a time where people, so like literally, like for me, I'm not doing any cons until before before Otakon Vegas. I might do Super SatCon. I may do I may do the other SatCon not in, but I'm not gonna do PNX. I'm not gonna do. I wish I could do SnafuCon. I'd love to go out there and check out SnafuCon, but that's just too much for me.
Right. It's funny you mentioned that because at the time where I'm figuring out what I'm gonna do for next year, it's like I've been to Sac Anime so many times over the years since it's like inception, or well, not really inception, but like since like the Scottish Rite Center. And I just came to the decision like, you know what? I'm 26. Yes, I'm pretty old, people. I'm 26. I'm still in college, whatnot, but I still haven't been to some conventions I've never been to, and I decided like, a few days ago I wanna skip Sac Anime Winter, go to Anime LA, and trying to find ways to get to Comic Con and other conventions I haven't been to yet, like this past year in Seattle for SacraCon. Um, it's it can be a lot of money because it is. It really is for just going to conventions here in California. Um, but at some point, like depending on who you are, if you're comfortable, staying here and doing that is great. But someone like me, like I want to venture out to other big conventions I've always wanted
Well,
to be.
and that's what I did when I went to ALA in 2010. And if it wasn't for ALA 2010, I would not met half my staff members that are now working with me.
Mm-hmm. For sure, for sure. Um, Now here's a question: do you think in due time Sac Anime will become as big as Fanime, or in that upper echelon of conventions?
The thing is, if Sac Anime wants to become Fanime, the city of Sacramento is going to have to do some hard convincing to the city of Sacramento to do it.
Do you now that I think about it? Do you think they have a place big enough for that mere
Number
size?
one, I don't. So number two, the rules. Okay, there's a reason why the rave shut down at 1 or 2 in the morning. There's a reason why there's so many restrictions on gatherings because the city of Sacramento's convention center building is not a public place.
Who is it owned by?
The city of Sacramento.
Oh,
Basically,
right. Duh.
yeah. Have you tried walking through there? If you try walking through there on a weekday when there's nothing going on, it's locked.
Hmm.
You can't walk inside, but like at the San Jose Convention Center, you can walk through
Right. Right.
because that's a public spot, and also because it connects 2 hotels in the area.
Hmm.
You kind of have to leave that open.
Right.
So technically, it is an open spot. So what Sacramento's gonna have to do is they're gonna have to really change their policy if Sac Anime wants to grow up to be a Fanime.
That's true. That's true.
Because all these gatherings they're restricted because of the city of Sacramento's rules.
Right.
Because it's a private entity. It's a private property, not a public property, public space.
Here's something that I've thought of, and it goes along with Sac Anime and other actually big conventions. I feel that every year, every major convention, and mid-major, are getting bigger and bigger every year. I feel that at some point, every anime convention is going to turn into packs, to where the point where that there isn't enough room for everybody, and you have to buy tickets to get in.
Well, what they're gonna start doing is they're not gonna get to that point. They're gonna cap.
I know. I'm saying like when they get to that cap point, like they can't put any more bodies in the convention center because of fire hazard situations. Then it's like at that point, then you can only have a certain amount of people get in, and those people who get in will have to buy their tickets or buy their badges to
See,
get
the
in.
thing is that like cons like Acon or like Anime Boston or Acon or ASEN,
Hmm.
those they're growing, but not at a fast rate. Sac Anime's growth is exponential. Anime Expo's growth is exponential. Otacon's growth is exponential. That's why Otacon's moving to Washington D.C. because there's a bigger, fancier building at the bigger, fancier convention center
Mm-hmm.
in DC. Because
Mm-hmm.
Baltimore. I mean, I think it was like the late '70s that they built that thing. But if
Mm-hmm.
you look at Sac Anime and Fanime, those convention centers were built like at least in the late '90s. I mean,
That's
I
true.
mean,
And
Sac Anime is. I mean, Sacramento Convention Center was rebuilt in the late '90s, and then I think Fanime's was done in the late 2000s. And then the second phase of the remodeling project.
and Fanime is
So
actually making an effort to actually expand the convention center to fit more bodies into the convention center.
and that's why a lot of people are banking on this expansion project to really help out Fanime. Now that's a whole different subject I could talk to you
Oh
about
yeah.
Fanime and the expectations going into 2014, but that's a whole different other podcast.
Right, definitely for sure. Um, okay. I just, in my opinion, I feel like eventually we're gonna get to the point where like we're just gonna have to have like people would buy badges to get into
Yeah.
anime convention just because there's so many that are coming. Not to say like it won't happen.
But what's gonna happen is that it's gonna be exponential and it's gonna slow down. It's gonna slow down to where you can't sustain your growth without having to put caps. I mean, there was rumors, I mean, for ALA for a very long time that they were gonna put caps for ALA because so many people were going to ALA. And as of late, I haven't heard of anything about a cap or extending a cap.
Hmm. Yeah, it's kind of interesting too. I mean, like, we'll see how it goes. I think that I mean, like my money is on like that will every con's gonna be like PAX. But if you're right on that these conventions are gonna.
Well, then the thing about PAX too is that PAX is about video games.
Oh, I
Last
know.
time I last time I checked, video games is a much bigger entity than anime.
That's true. I actually, yeah, you have a good point there. Yeah, that is true. Um,
Now, like Comic Con is like they need to change all their. I mean, Comic Con is that's a whole different other podcast too.
yeah, that's no other podcast because like Comic Con, that's not really about comic books anymore. It's like
Well,
comic.
not even that. It's just um the hardcore fan base can't go anymore
Yeah, yeah.
because they're being pushed out for the casual. They're being pushed out to the ones that are gonna camp out.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna camp out 3 nights just to go see a Twilight panel.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, it is like you said, it's a whole other podcast that we can talk about for hours. Um, but yeah, I think we'll see. I mean, time will do tell. I mean, like maybe when we're like 10, we're like old, we'll look back at everything. It's like, oh, guess Matthew was right, or guess I was right, or who knows? It might be a combination of the both. Anyways, Matthew, thank you for joining me for this Sac Anime / Talk About Conventions podcast. Where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me at www.caliconblog.net at caconblog #caconblog. Am I missing any more hashtag or ats? I don't think so. You can also find me on Instagram at MVM88Miranda. You can find some of my photos I did at Sac Anime as well as other stuff. You can also find me on Facebook. Just look up my name.
This man is in many, many places on the internet. And for me, you can follow me on Twitter at Defective Naruto. You can follow this podcast along everything that I do on Mission Start Podcast on our website, missionstartpodcast.com. The podcast either just to be up on YouTube or on our servers. Hopefully, they'll at least will be up by now. Will be out in some sort of fashion, but if it's not, it'll be on YouTube. But anyways, thank you again, Matthew. I think this probably would be it. There was gonna bring another person into this, but nah, too lazy to. Anyways, thanks again everybody for listening, and we will see you guys next time.
All right. Night, everyone.